Oh yeah, that one worked really well. Normally I fuck this up, but it worked well. We're here. It's Wired and Wednesday. We're live on Twitch. I got my friend Oren Major tap the fuck in with us today. I feel really young when I say tap in, so I'm just saying he is live with us today on the internet. Shout outs to everybody in the chat right now. If you are new to this Twitch situation, welcome to Wired and Wednesday. Every Wednesday we give away a pair of Astro A10 headphones to one lucky subscriber. I got this feeling, and I need to fucking preface this. I have no control over who wins these things, but I got a fucking feeling, Queen Gampo, they're coming home with you today. Because you've been trying and you've been applying yourself, and we've talked about energy. You've been projecting. These motherfuckers might come home with you tonight. All right, I'm feeling good about it, and who knows? But you hit raffle, you're a subscriber. You hit !raffle. Saucy Mushrooms already on it, and you enter yourself to a chance to win some motherfucking headphones. And I hope that you get them. Whoever you are, whoever's listening, I'm talking directly to you. I'm pretty sure somebody just shot a gun off outside. Dude, July is just like free reign in the hood out here for them to just be like, I'm gonna light a fucking firework, and then I'm gonna be like pop, 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 pop in between.
Shooting in the air for no reason.
My fucking neighborhood, man. God damn it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the stream. It's been a while since we had a conversation to begin with, let alone on the internet. So everybody, welcome Oren Major to the chat. Oren Major is a producer, rapper, male underwear model.
That's right.
He really fills them out. Let's just say that. Really fills them out.
Tired porn star.
Tired porn star or retired?
Retired.
A super tired ass porn star because I'll just be working so much and I really just kind of overdid it. And we had the chance of we got to meet in Hawaii at around this time a couple years ago. Really whack show in Hawaii that nobody showed up to because it was 4th of July. It was the night before 4th of July, and there was like a million other things to do in Hawaii other than fucking around with us.
So it's funny. You just called it a whack ass show. I specifically remember that show. I was so excited. I was like, "Fuck, man! I got on the Grieve show." Like
nobody came.
I ain't care, man. I ain't care. I was like in Hawaii. You were saying you were embarrassed. I was like, I've done 105 people show. That was more than my lowest show. I had a show where nobody showed up. I was performing for the fucking bartender, my dude.
I have had some fucking.
He told me I could headline.
Yeah, you want to go on? I'm gonna hit the fucking Asian buffet across the street before they close, man. Yeah. That's where we met, and then you were out there, and I decided I had worked my ass off that year, and I was like, fuck it, I'm staying in Hawaii. So I stayed out there for like a week after the show. You were also out there because you were chilling with Nick, and Nick's family's from there. We went fishing, didn't catch shit, got drunk a bunch of times, almost got fucked by an eel. It was a good way to meet somebody, and I have a lot of fond memories from that trip because I never do like solo, like fucking I'm chilling situations, but that year was so much. We were on the road so much that year, and that was like the last one, and I was like, fuck it, I'm chilling. So yeah, I don't know. Tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're doing, all that shit.
I'm from St. Louis. I'm basically from Atlanta. You know what I mean? I grew up half my life in St. Louis. A lot of shit that I do now, I learned and got inspired by in Atlanta. And yeah, man, I'm an indie artist. I'm an artist. That's that. I just love this shit. I'm just vibing through life, man.
That's what's up. So ultimately, and I think the indie artist term is like, I spent 10 years signed to a label that was like pretty much Warner Brothers. But if I would have said that to a lot of the patrons, they would be like, "What the fuck?" And I have constantly been compared or have the label indie artist kind of looming over me, especially when I decide to make decisions that kind of break the mold of what they believe independent artists are. And I think what people lack is it's not a genre. Being independent is not a genre. It's not, we used to call it underground, but that just means nobody fucking heard of you. It wasn't like we were striving to be broke. It was, and it did, like, that kind of music did, I guess, kind of had its own sound at the time. But that wasn't like what, like, none of us were like, man, I want to be struggling. I want to be unheard of, fucking unsigned, unheard. Like, no one got into it for that. Like, of course, the music was always the driving force and the feeling that you get when you make music. But independent artist means exactly what it sounds like. You do this shit yourself, right? And if you have help, that means you work directly with that help. Like, you work with Nick for the things that you want to achieve, or he helps you with some business stuff. And it's kind of cutting out the label. It's cutting.
You got some money, or you got some fucking good relationships.
So talk about what goes into that, because I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just a sound. It's not a genre. Being indie is not. It just means that he's fucking working harder than the other people.
I think first off, like, the sound comes from the fact that these niggas ain't got no money. Like, that's where the sound comes from. Like, you're recording on a computer you found, or somebody bought you when you was in high school or some shit, and
you don't have
got whatever mic. Exactly. So that's where the sound comes from, and you probably don't know anything about mixing, because you didn't go into no studio because you couldn't pay to sit there and look at an engineer or learn or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's where that comes from. But mainly, like, if you're independent, it's like being an entrepreneur. If you quit your job, like, who's gonna pay you now? You got to make moves for yourself. You got to learn all the things that you would have been having a label do. And I see, like, I got a lot of, like, artists friends and shit on my Facebook now. So one of the main posts I see all the time is like indie versus going to a label. Yeah. And the comments just make me like, man, like, what do you think this is about?
Over what happens when you sign with a label too. Which I'm gonna talk to you about later. I have a question, but continue.
Yeah. So mainly, you know, I print up my own CDs. I haven't announced these yet, but the XO2 joints
Sick.
on the way. We got that's money, that's budget. You got merch. We started, first we were using like Teespring, and then we started getting this guy to print up our merch, and then I was like, yo, like, it's still a cost. Like, the most cost efficient thing is to learn how to do that shit yourself. So we got the print machine.
Shit. Really? You're printing your own merch?
I was for a second, yo, but the actual, what is it called? The what's the cutter called? I forgot.
Oh, I don't even know.
It's like a Cricut or something.
I pay a motherfucker. I got a company that I use that I send the designs to. They make the shirts, the shit. They send them to me. I'm like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. See, ideally, like, now I got my family, like my cousin. He knows how to do all that, and that's what he does. Like, he has his own brand with that. So I was like, hey, yo, cuz, like, I'll pay you. We can split the merch if you want to make it and send it out for me. And that's the type of shit you do as an independent artist. Like, you know somebody who has what you're trying to do, and every time, like, as an indie, what you're always thinking is like the amount of energy and time this is going to take versus the amount of energy is going to and time is going to take to actually like push your record or push your brand and stuff. So the reason I stopped making my own merch was mainly because, yo, it was so much of a learning curve learning how to work that Cricut to make the vinyls for the shirts. And I was so frustrated. I was like, bruh, I'm not finna spend a year learning this. Like, fuck out of here. I'm about to make some music.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a merch guy.
Exactly. And that's what you're always thinking about, like, as an indie. Like, okay, am I this guy or not?
What hat can I
that's
wear?
where labels. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the labels come in, because it's like, okay, if you know you're not somebody who wants to spend a lot of time doing any of this shit, guess what? Somebody will do it for you. They're called a label. And they're going to want to take some of your money.
Yes, they will. Yes.
Probably a lot of it. How much you know, but then you still got to learn the business side and the legal side of that shit, because it's like, okay, maybe you don't want to learn, you know, maybe you do want to let the label do it, but do you want to be a sucker now? Like, do you want to let them tell you anything? So you still, like, either way, you got to be knowledgeable. Yep. You got to continue to be learning, and that's basically what it is.
Well, a lot of people have this immense, and we'll just talk about hip hop because I don't want to cross genres, but I've dabbled in all across the boards, and I have friends that, you know, are signed to major deals and with other genres of music, and I have huge independent friends in hip hop and you know, in like metal and all sorts of shit. And one thing that I would say, whether you're indie or whether you're on the label, is exactly what you were saying, is those business smarts are extremely important, because if you're going to sign the deal, that means that you have the know-all to keep yourself from getting fucked or just signing the first thing that comes across the table, because they're going to dangle the first carrot. They're going to be like, do you want to join the label? You like that? Does that look good?
Yeah.
You like that? They're meant to be negotiations. They're not meant to be like, hell yeah, like, put the logo on my back and let's get it done with. A lot of people have this, especially in hip hop, I've noticed they have this crazy amount of confidence. It's almost like you have to suck your own dick to be a hip hop artist. And they just believe that if they put their name on that paper and that logo is on the record, that they will be successful. The music will do it, the rest of the work, everything's gonna be fine. And that's not the fucking case. And, you know, we hear these horror stories of these artists getting shelved, and we blame it on the label, and we do all this other stuff. But, like, these kind of deer in the headlights people are just thinking that the music is like, oh, well, if I just put it here, everyone will know. And it's like, nah, I feel like you can never stop working as hard as you did to get that deal once you have it. Like, that work ethic is what got you signed. To turn back the throttle and just be like, the music's going to do the talking now, I think is kind of this naive, impossible mindset to be in, because that's when you lose. And I'm not saying always be unhappy with your situation, but I think as an artist, we should always be asking ourselves, what's next? What's more? Or you know, what could be more of this? And, you know, my time signed, I learned a fucking lot. I learned a lot beforehand, and then when I signed, I learned that there was a whole bunch of other things in play that I didn't know shit about. And it was up to me to learn those things, because if I didn't, then A, they wouldn't get done, or B, I was paying for something that I didn't understand. And I think there's a few moments in our life where that, you know, we do that. Like, you know, we go to the mechanic. We paid the mechanic to, you know, do the thing. It's doing a thing. I don't know. I don't, like, that's why you're here. But your record label isn't a fucking mechanic. Like, you should understand from A to Z what's going on with your money and what's happening with you. So to just enter in assuming that everything's going to be good is a crippling mindset for a lot of artists, and is the death of so many fucking artists, I would say. And
how that shit, like,
same
early
thing
on.
around. I would say the same shit with the internet for the indie artists. They think just because they followed what you did or what I did, you know, like, they're like, well, look, it's on Spotify, it's on fucking Apple, I sent out emails, I'm talking to these guys, you know, I did everything I'm supposed to do, it should be doing it, is also kind of this toxic mind state. They're assuming just because they do the things that everybody else does, that they don't really got to focus on the music, which is kind of the flip-flop. But, like, I don't know. It's a very complicated, hard thing to create and work for yourself and make it provide for you. And being independent is a difficult motherfucking thing. Like, but at the same time, you have more control, right? So if you are the kind of personality that likes to hold the reins, you know, then that works for you better. If you kind of are the hopeless artist guy that just needs to, like, have somebody handle everything and doesn't really give a shit and is willing to risk the biscuit on saying, like, well, maybe this tanks me or maybe this propels me into the next fucking realm and I'm, you know, Bruno Mars next week or some shit like this. But, like, not considering that possibility makes you a fucking idiot. And I say, at least as an independent artist, when you fall, you can get back up.
Facts.
On the label, it's a business, so, you know, you fall, you get back. You're not. That's
like a bad review, you know what I mean? It's like you got 100 bad reviews when you don't sell your album or whatever, and now next time around they're like, we're gonna push your release date back. We got somebody else coming out, type shit.
Yeah, and I there's a misconception of money too, that signing a record label alleviates financial burden, which isn't true, because now it's like taking a home loan, right? It's like, I own my house, but I don't really fucking own my house. Like, the bank owns my house until I pay this motherfucker back. So
fuck around and miss a payment, you'll see who owns.
You're gonna find out who owns that motherfucking house. And that's the same thing with the record. Like, you don't own shit until you pay back that fucking advance that you thought was gonna change your life. You don't own it. Goddamn, you don't get shit. You're not gonna get an advance to make another record, so you just made one record for whatever, $250,000. Like, if you're lucky, like, if that's what is gonna change your life, and that's the rest of the money you get. That's it. That's the end of your career. That's worst case scenario.
That's how
I'm not saying that's what it is gonna happen. It's just like, it could potentially be that is the last check you get, and you gotta go mop floors somewhere now. Because
I interned at a studio. I've seen it happen like a million times. Before I was really taking myself serious as I should have been as an artist, I constantly crossed paths with people who were signed, and I never heard of them, never seen them again.
Oh yeah.
Like, and even then they were like I'm trying to figure out why they stressing, like, what is so hard? It seemed like you made it. Like, then as somebody who's 17, 18, you're looking at them like, oh shit, you got signed to Universal, you made it. And it's not the case.
No, LA, that's why people call it, the city of broken dreams, is because there's like so much of that. Because it's such a high value number game that you don't see what's going on beneath the fucking table. They're just churning out shit to see what sticks. They're just throwing shit at the wall, see what sticks. Like, they got enough money to do that, but it's all the little shits that don't stick to the wall that are like,
Right.
that's what you see and experience. And I honestly couldn't tell you how not to be that. Like, I wouldn't
Nah,
live
I think you got to have like you got to know yourself enough, and you got to know what makes you happy. And I know it sounds like corny, especially like now with the internet and shit, but it's a real thing. Like, you got to know what's going to make you happy. This is your life. Like, are you going to,
Well, like,
do you feel like, go ahead.
I was going to say, when I was young and I got that paper slid across the table, it was this pivotal moment in my life, because the name on that paper is the same name that inspired me to really push forward and do what I develop my sound. When I discovered that label, I was like, holy shit, this changes things for me, right? And it was the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life. It was the most inspirational, exciting, holy fucking, pivotal thing in my life. And at that point, I'd been doing everything by myself and had been gaining a bit of steam. And so I had my own manager. I was, we weren't physically making our own merch, but we were producing our own merch. We had somebody. We were doing tours. We had a van. Word got out that we had a van, so we were just on every fucking tour because people were like, wait, you got a van? I'll bring you on the tour if I don't have to rent the van. I was like, let's go. So I was touring 9 months out of the year. I never went home. I was constantly on the road. And that DIY shit caught the attention, and I got that contract, and I fucking, my manager, and we had to get a lawyer, because I went to a little bit of music school, and so I knew that at least to never sign anything without a lawyer. And the lawyer was like, you can't fucking sign this, are you kidding me? And I was so disappointed, because I was like, well, if I go back and I tell them that I'm not going to sign this contract, after a month of talking, they're going to pull it. I'm going to lose this opportunity, because it crossed my mind to just sign it. It did, heavily. It weighed on me to be like, well, I should just fucking sign. I should just eat shit, because if I could get in and then maybe fulfill this contract and then get a new one and get a better one, and my manager was like, I'm not in here for that. I'm not in it for this. So no, if you sign that contract, I'm walking, and then you're gonna have to sign a whole other contract with them for a management agreement. And I was like, And the most terrifying fucking thing in the world for me was sliding that paper back across the table, being like, nah. And having some shit crossed out and revisions, written in there. And they're like, okay, yeah, no problem. We're going to check these revisions out, and then we'll come back to you with our revisions. We went back and forth forever. And I was so scared to slide that fucking contract back, that I was willing to be one of those people that you just talked about, that probably got themselves in a situation where they just signed the first thing that came across the table to say that they were signed, and it is more or less set up for you to fail unless you're incredibly successful. And that wasn't intended malicious by the label. It was meant as a negotiation and a starting point. And when I did those things, I maintained some of my independence, meaning I will not sign your management deal because you have so many artists on the label. How can I assume that you would have my individual best interest in need? I'm bringing my own manager with me. I will pay him separately, So I will not be paying you for management fees because I will be having my own management. I'm also refusing your merchandising deal. I have been handling this, and at this point is the only thing making sure that I am not emaciated right now. It is the only way I'm making money because I'm not making it off of music. I'm assuming that's going to change because you're a record label, and we're supposed to sell records. You are not a t-shirt shop. I'm a t-shirt shop. So I'm going to be the t-shirt shop. You're going to be the record store. And I maintained, and honestly, I wouldn't have gotten through the first several years of that contract if it wasn't for the fact that I had somebody writing for me hard as fuck. I also had my own agent at the time, with the agency group, who was my agent for well over a decade and carried me with him through, he went to Windish, to Paradigm. We ran the gamut, and I got that just from hard work. And when he was an intern, he was allowed to pick one artist, and he picked me, and he brought me up with him. So when I signed with the label, I was like, I also have my own agent. So I had all my own shit going in, and I was like, you are a record label, let's do records.
Right.
Let me have all this other shit. You're not getting a cut of my shows. You're not getting a cut of my merch. And I'm not paying you to manage me. Not saying that doesn't work. It does work for some people, because some people want that one-stop shop, right? They just want to be like, look, just you handle it all. Let me sit in this room and just send you shit. But at that point, I was so used to being hands-on and working my ass off that for me, that doesn't work. And without maintaining that level of independence, I would have never been able to make it through the first couple years of my contract. I probably would have flopped, and that would have been that.
Crazy. I just read something about like instant gratification that I had been trying to like apply to my life, and it's like you said, if you would have like succumbed to the instant gratification of signing that and being like, I made it, and I'm with the label that inspired me and all that. Instant gratification doesn't usually equal like happiness in the long run.
No.
And it's always like, if you just hold off for 5 minutes, like in your day to day on whatever it is, if it's a dumb purchase, if you can hold off 5 minutes, walk past it, for the most part, you're not going to do it, because you would have had enough time with it not dangling in front of you to think about what's really going on.
Yeah.
And with them contracts, it's a lot of like language, like you said, you're a record label. You're not a merchandise shop. I was looking at distribution deals, and first off, like some of these distribution deals, like they throw language in there that you got to pay attention to, like physical copies. Like, we're in 2020. There's no need for physical copies to be on there. Anything
is a merch item now. That is a merch item. That is something you sell at live shows to facilitate an autograph to a fan. It is no longer a tangible piece of media that, like, when I signed my contract, we were end capping. We were going to record stores. We were selling fucking records. Like, we had CDs on the shelves with the fucking alphabetical names and shit like that. And so that was the contract I signed. I had a physical record distributing, we were distributed through ADA, through Warner Brothers, like,
that's hard.
Any distribution company asking for that now, though, that's kind of like them asking for t-shirt sales.
Right. It's like, all right, what fees you finna take? Like, that's what you always got to be asking. Okay, what is this going to take from me?
And how are you going to distribute the physical copies? And do you have do you have a method? Like, like, where are they going, first of all? Like, are you just selling them from your online store, and then if they don't sell, then you send them back to me and I got to pay shipping on both?
Pay for them, right. You got to pay for the shit.
No. Or do you put them up on your online store and they stay at my house and I got to ship them out? Or do you send them to mom and pop record stores and then they get sent back to me because, you're not putting a cardboard cutout of my face in there with a listening station built into it and a moving arm that's like, I'm Oren fucking Major. Every time somebody,
I might sign that one for a year. I might. Yeah, that might be hard.
But like, to guarantee physical sales is insane. And honestly, don't you want to be the one selling physical records right now?
Right.
AC Smith gifting 5 tier 1 subs to the channel. Yee! That's what's up. Thanks for the love, man. But you know, like, who's gonna sell those? That's you, right? You sell those from your point of sale, from your website, from your Shopify.
For a long time, I hadn't even been selling merch. Like you said, I sell my merch mostly at shows and shit. And when I have merch at home, I usually use that as like the first handshake to my new fans. You know, if somebody comes across my music online, like that's one of the gems that I drop on people is like, I send people shit right away. And matter of fact, you might have been like a heavy inspiration on that because I was watching, you know, I watch your shows and shit. And I like the way you talk to the crowd and you put them back in the position of like something physical with the records. Like, yeah, you remember the records and da-da-da-da-da. And you make them like, it had me thinking like when we had CDs, when I fell in love with music, there were CDs and I was going and taking the booklets out and reading the lyrics and I wanted to know the label. I wanted to know who wrote what and all that shit. So now when it comes to me sending merch to the new fans, that's what I look at it as. Like they're getting a piece of me that they can physically like connect with. And it just makes the connection that much deeper.
Dude,
you
and
know
they're
what I mean?
gonna, you know, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they're gonna be like, hey, like, dude, do you remember that one time? Like, and you're not going to remember, but they're gonna be like, do you remember that one time where you like, dude, you sent me the CD? Like, that shit goes such a fucking long with that personal connection. And I understand the need for space, and I am a huge proponent for it. But I toured with these Swedish dudes, and they were on the phone for a while. Like we were riding in the van, and like they were passing the phone around, and I was like, oh, were you guys like, you know, they're speaking in Swedish, and I was like, oh, were you guys like talking to your label or something like that? And they're like, oh no, we were talking to a fan. I was like, fuck, you just giving out your fucking phone number to fans and shit? They're like, no, like this fan's like in the hospital and isn't doing very well, and you know we're like, yeah, we'll totally call. And I was like, you just call, like people just reach out to you and you're like, hey, can you call me? And they're like, yeah. I was like, damn, that seems like a lot. And he's like, dude, that was a 10-minute phone. It literally took no fucking time at all for us to do that. And that not only does it change that person's like life, and they're not doing good, so it's like it's maybe a little bit of positive energy is gonna make them feel better, but also like they'll forever remember that. Always.
Yeah.
Like they'll never forget the moment that we called them from this van, and you know we may forget it, you know, a couple weeks from now, but like for them that is like this huge thing. And it shit changed for me after that, because I was like under the impression that you got to have a little bit of distance between you and your fans, because if not, like my job is hectic enough as it is than to be like answering emails and responding to fucking DMs and like calling you on the phone and being there for you every time you need me, and like, which I can't be, and I'm not, and I don't respond to majority of the DMs. I don't even read them. Like I just because I'm not a therapist, you know, like my job isn't to I'm not a social worker, like, but
people don't realize how hard of a like lifestyle this is anyway.
Yeah,
like you already gotta do so much to reach the level of success that you had by talking to people, because remember, it's all like mostly relationships. If you don't want to dump a shit ton of money into it, it's mostly relationship. You're talking to people all freaking day anyway, man. Yep. I need a couple hours to myself, man. I'm not gonna see all these DMs. I'm not gonna see all the messages.
Yeah, and I just like I have a relationship with that idea that is like, look, if I start responding, then I have to keep responding, right? Like, especially to somebody that's like, here is all this shit, and they're like, damn, that's a bunch of shit, and they're like, cool, check it out, and then you have to be there for that person, and it's just like, it's a lot. But you come to the shows, I'm gonna talk to you. Something pokes
Right.
out, you ask something, I got you. Like if it's a reasonable thing, I got you. If somebody's not doing well, like I got you. Like I'm doing the best that I can with the time that I have and the space that I have. That doesn't mean I can do it for everyone always all the time, but that changed for me when it was like, dude, it's nothing for you. Just been sitting in this fucking van all day doing nothing. You can't just like do something that makes somebody else's day a shitload better. And I was like, damn. So that's why, like, when I'm on tour, I'm pretty much responding to everybody. Like, I'm like, comment-wise, like, I'm going through the comments, I'm talking to everybody, I'm trying, I get to the shows, I still go to the merch table. I'm sorry, I know it pisses Colin off sometimes, but I run up on the merch table and I'm like, let's break bread, let's talk. Like, I wanna get to know these people. And
I'm way more likely to like kick it in person too, though. Like, I got a lot more instances of like pulling up on fans or like inviting them to something that I'm doing that's not a show or whatever, and just kicking it like that. I spend too much time on the phone anyway. Like, I don't be wanting to be on the phone.
Yeah. And I did this thing called Paw Print, and it's a fundraiser that I do, that I did every year in Seattle, but COVID really threw a fucking a dick in the mouth of that. But it really fucked it up. But we'll get it back rolling again. And for me, that was kind of like this thing that I can, kind of what you're doing. It's like the come kick it. And it's a show, it's a fundraiser. The VIP is like, come hang out with me and a shitload of animals. It's like this whole other thing. And I don't keep a dime from it. So it's like all the animal, like I try to find something that was like pretty neutral that I feel like a lot of people are down for. And it's just like, hey, this is going for all the fucking sick and dying animals. And it's really turned into this wonderful experience where like people come up and they're like, oh, I can't wait to see what next year is going to be like. And we're kicking it. And there's like, it is a show, but it doesn't have the pressure of the show. And it is kind of like just hanging out with all these people because you have a thing that you want to do. You know that you're all doing it together. It's not a payday for me, so it does have a bit of a different feel to it, and I love it.
You really care about the animals too. I remember.
I do give.
I remember now.
A large fuck about the animals.
Remember in Hawaii, you was like, "Let the fish go, man."
Yeah, I give a big fuck. But I have a baby now too, so now I'm like, whoa, it's like caring about animals, but even more. Way more intense. They bullshit on the floor. But
you said what? They bullshit.
It's a much different experience. But yeah, I finding a way to tap in with your fan base is a huge thing. Do you think that's more of an indie favoring thing, or do you think that's more of a... Because I've seen major cats do it. I mean, shit, if you got the money to do whatever the fuck you want, and you can be like, we're having a meet and greet at the motherfucking Eiffel Tower. I got the whole bitch rented out, and everybody's plane tickets paid for it. Like, people could do crazy shit.
Why you say it like Dave Chappelle?
I don't know. That's my mimicky.
I think, bro, like, if you should do it, whether you're indie or major, but only if it's real. Because you would hate to like pull up on your favorite artist because they're having an event and they're
there to
like,
take the picture and then they leave.
Right.
Had a crazy time at the meet and greet, and it's like, dog, you didn't even take your sunglasses off. Like you
ain't talk to nobody, bro. Yeah. Like, I've been there.
Yeah, you guys left the car running. Like you literally just came in and went right out.
See, I'm at that point now too. Like, I don't want to do anything I don't feel good about, and whether it's like even this, like I said, I wanted to do podcasts and shit mainly because I wanted to get out there more and I wanted people to see me and talk to me and all that stuff. But I also, like, deep down hate, like, I don't hate it, but the feeling, like I still get nervous, like I'm getting on stage. Like at first when I would get on stage, it was like I'm shaking, yo, and I need to meditate. And I was saying I'd meditate like 10 minutes before I go on stage and I'll be straight. Now it's like I had that feeling before I get on camera. And I don't know if like the pandemic had something to do with it, since everybody's on camera now staring at you and shit.
Maybe, but I think it's because, so I still get nervous before I play every single time. Every single time I play. I take a big old dump. I take a big old nervous shit before I play. And like, I feel like it could go either way. It could be a sold out show with people screaming my name before I go on. And I'm still like, this could go real bad. But honestly, I think it is the realist in you or me. It's the fact that you don't expect it to be great. You don't expect things to go your way. You don't assume everybody loves you. Like, and when it comes down to talking about things you love, you know, like whether you're on a podcast, you also don't know how that's going to go. You don't know the questions they're going to ask you. You don't know how you're going to look and feel or respond to certain things. And to me, that's humanity. That's basic shit. It's what people think we don't have to do what we do, but ironically makes us do what we do so much better. Because I think the other side of that is very robotic. I've toured with people like that. I have been in the room and in the studio with people like that, and there's no humanity to it. It's soulless and it's bizarre. And to me, I don't know how to talk or relate to those people.
Yeah,
I'm kicking it with the intern at that point, you know, like or the merch guy. Like when I'm on tours like that, and I'm like, okay, you and I have nothing in common because you are a shell of a human being at this point. So I'm gonna go kick it with like your sound guy or like somebody who's got something to say. That expectation, once again, there is this level of like confidence that we feel we have to have because everybody talks about it in hip hop, right? It's like I'm the shit, everything's going great, and it always will be. Cause shit used to be hard, now it's good. You know, like it's everybody's first rap song was about how dope they were. Like and it ain't the case. It's just,
all right, so question. How many people have you met, like as far as artists go, that were totally different with like what they displayed to the masses or their fans than they were in person?
A lot.
Like, who surprised you?
Like in a negative way or in a positive way?
Whatever you're comfortable with telling me, right?
I'm not gonna say names because I feel like that's
you ain't got
it. But I have been on some tours where I have been shocked on the mask that people put on. And it's not that the person with the mask off is all that bad. It's more that the mask on is super fucking corny to me. Like to see who they think they need to be to make other people happy is fucking embarrassing to me. And I think we all do it on a small level because we say
a lot of us do start that way because you, like, I guess in a nutshell, like you got inspired to do it for some reason. Like, did you become that person without thinking about it, and it's not natural or not like organic to who you are as a person, or what? But I think we all eventually got to break that, and you know what I mean, like as you go on and further as an artist, the only way to really make it and really connect with people is when you don't have to act.
Oh, I mean, how many times, even in these rap songs about how dope we are, it's like the authentic, real rawness of fucking blah blah blah. It's like, okay, but like ultimately that's not wrong. The authenticity is the relatable part. You know, people are like, that motherfucker's just like me, or like, oh, he was so easy to talk to, or damn, he's very personable and like down to earth. I also like it when artists are too high to like too high of a pedestal to like, damn, like I miss the rock and roll, you know, like the fucking rock star where it's just like, that dude's a god. You know, like,
Yeah.
I kind of like that because it makes things a bit more magical. It doesn't mean that person is those things. I like the idea of characters too, because we are in the entertainment business.
Right.
And so I have toured with people that have a character as well. And when they aren't that character, they are completely fucking different. And it's not a bad thing because they've developed this character. And, you know, you as a fellow artist are well aware. The fans are.
Right.
The fans believe that you are that person all the time. For me, that's why I don't have one. Because you're going to catch me chilling at the Denny's or something like that after the show. You're going to run up on me and I'm like talking to my mom on the phone or something like that. And all of a sudden, I'm not this person anymore to you. And I'm disappointing, or I'm having a bad day. Like the artists that pretend to be these like happy-go-lucky, everything's fucking great all the time dudes. And then it's like, cool, are you gonna be happy-go-lucky when I kick the fucking bathroom stall open on you and like sit on your lap while you're taking a shit? You gonna be super happy?
Selfie, like,
yeah. Hey, it's me and Jason Mraz just kicking it. Like, no way. Like,
you gotta choke them out there. You got a lawsuit and shit.
I love you, dude. I think showing the human side of yourself allows you to have flaws. It allows you to have, it allows you to be a fucking human. When you set up this character, whether good or bad, you know, whether you're the hero or the villain, or the comedian or any of these other things, then you have to be that, right? Because people catch you slipping and all of a sudden they're confused of why you aren't that anymore. And I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to me just because I didn't live up to people's expectations.
Right. Not even ones you placed on yourself. It's just something they looked at you and assumed.
Yeah, I remember one time, like, somebody was waiting. Like, they somehow knew when we were going to be there, so they must have known somebody at the venue, or they were just waiting out there all day. And the van pulled up, and they ran up on the van, but I wasn't paying attention, and I went out the other door and walked around the back. And, you know, I had like headphones on and like oversized basketball shorts. I was just looking like a fucking homeless person. And like grabbed the gear out, didn't look at anything, just went down the stairs to the venue, went straight in, played the show, had a great time, went back to the hotel, went to bed, went to the next city, looked on Facebook during the van ride, and it was like, what a fucking motherfucker. Like, what a son of a fucking bitch. Like, you're just gonna walk right past, like, blah, 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 blah. You're gonna be just such a fucking grumpy bitch asshole. Like, just expletives. Like, such a piss ass, such a dick fart, such a shit ball. Like, just, like, shit that don't make no sense. Like, so fucking mad. And then, like, the friend that was there with him, like, tuning in, and it's like, how could you get like so fucking disappointed and being like, you guys shouldn't support this guy because he is XYZ? And it's like, I didn't even fucking know you were there. Like, I don't even know this experience happened. Because you didn't say anything to me. You didn't come up to me. You didn't be like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? I want this. I want that. You didn't fucking communicate like an adult. And I went about what I do every day, which is when the van parks in front of the venue, I get out. I don't talk to these motherfuckers. I've been in the van with them all day. Like, we might be cracking some jokes or something at that time because we're excited to get out of the van. Sometimes we don't. And just like grabbed it, went downstairs, didn't even notice there were people waiting for me because they weren't like being like, hey, hi, hey, can I talk to you? Like, you could have been random people on the street. I'm definitely not going up to random people on the street and be like, what's up? You want to take a picture? Like,
yeah, I think that's the worst misconception, is that artists are just out there. Like, they just want to talk to people and shit. Like, me personally, Like, you know, me personally, I just be chilling, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't talk to nobody unless the energy like pulls me to that person to talk to them. So
Yes.
I guess I got to think about that sometimes. Like when I do my shows, it's consciously on my mind. Like, okay,
look,
talk
if
to
you're
everybody.
at the merch
Talk to
table,
everybody.
you got to talk to everybody, right? If you're in the venue and you're walking around, you got to talk to people, right? You can't be like, yo, leave me the fuck alone right now. Or you can communicate with people. I communicate with people when I'm trying. I like to watch the openers, but I don't want to be like signing autographs when I'm watching the opener because I think it takes the focus away from what I'm trying to give focus to.
Right.
And I watch openers if I think they're good. Sorry, I'm not watching every opener. I'm rarely watching the openers. Let's say that. But when I like something, I want to go watch it because I love live music and I love concerts, so I want to go see it. And if people run up on me when I'm doing that, I'll be like, hey, 100%, I'm down to do this, but I don't want to take away from this moment right now because if I start fucking with you, the person over there is going to turn around and then we're going to start this little cluster over here and everyone's going to have their backs.
Guess what? Dude gonna be on set like, yeah.
And everyone's in a meet and greet line now, right? And
that Grieves over there signing fucking autographs.
During my set, that's disrespectful. So all I'm like is like, yo, that's disrespectful to the openers. I'm actually here because I think this is dope and I want to watch. If you want to like kick it, like you could stand here and we could like watch music and I'll be like, oh, that was dope. And you could be like, yeah, that was it. Whatever. Like we could pretend like we know each other, but like I'm not signing autographs. Maybe don't touch me. Moving forward, definitely don't touch me.
Nah, definitely today.
I'm following the COVID rules for a long time.
Right.
But, I think communicating like that is good. But things where I think you get to be yourself regardless of the situation is like, if you run up on me at a restaurant because you recognize me and I'm like with my family, I'm going to smile and I'm going to be like, yeah, that's awesome. And I'm going to try to get out of the conversation as quick as possible. I may even take a photo with you. My family will not be in the photo with you. And I will smile. Do you think
there's like any good way to approach somebody like that, like in that setting? Because like looking from the outside in, it's like, yo, this is one opportunity that I got to meet this guy.
I think
you just chalk it up or what?
So it's you're off the clock. You're off the clock when you're not in the venue, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody should know that. Like, you're off the clock. Junkyard Will says buy their meal. No, because then that adds a level of like expectations, like
for the next person that runs into you, like,
well, I just bought your meal. Well, you can't fucking chill and like hang out with me and like talk about my prostate problems that I'm having right now. Like,
Oh, you saw a person buying your meal? Nah.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, if people buy you something, then they expect something. It's like, if I buy you your meal, then you are my bitch when you finish eating that meal. Some people feel that way about concert tickets. Some people feel that way about buying records. That's not true. I'm still my own person regardless of, and I do appreciate the sport, and I always will, and I will give as much effort as I can. So please don't buy my meal for me. You technically already did with your support,
right?
So I appreciate that. But I have had people like waitresses come up to me and be like, hey, would you like a shot? Because the table over there would like to send you like a shot or a beer if you're into that. And I was like, why, whether yes or no, I'm highly inclined to go over, regardless if I take the shot or don't. I think I'm going over to your table afterwards to like thank you.
Yeah.
And it's happened a few times, and to me that seems like pretty natural. And it's like, I don't have to like. You're not interrupting anything with me, and if I feel like I'm interrupting you, I won't, and I'll probably like tell the waitress like, hey, blah blah blah. Maybe I'll buy your fucking meal. Like, who knows? Like, I'll return the gesture and be like, hey, their tab's on me. Let them know that I didn't want to interrupt, but thank you, and something like that. Like I can play that game, can be a nice guy, but I don't know the best way to go about that. I would say just feel it out. Like, would you want to be ran up on when you were with your family, or if you were like, if I'm just like wandering around and I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I am right now, and you're like, hey dude, what's up? I'm like, oh shit, dude, thank God you're here. I don't even know who you are, but what the fuck is going on right now?
I think on my end, shit, where I'm at with it, buy my meal, shit. I'm still buy my. You feel me? I ain't got that check yet. Buy my shit. Nah, what I would really love is, like you said, the mechanic earlier. I was somewhere getting my car fixed, and somebody's like, "Oh shit, yo, it's on me. This transmission is on me."
We just got you a whole new car. All right, we're big fans. We pulled together. we got you this monster truck. We just think it would be better for you to drive this.
I appreciate it. Exhibit. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say just use your fucking best judgment. A lot of people don't use judgment; they use their excitement, and that's okay. It's exciting. Like I met Fabio at a Whole Foods, and I didn't know what to say. I had no idea what to say. I just was like, guys do the model stuff. Yeah, it was crazy. And then like took a picture, and I was like, eh.
I ran into a few like famous people, like, and I definitely do dumb shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I ran into Brown from Medea at the airport, and I was just like, "Oh shit, Brown!" And he just turned around, and I was like, "Fuck, man, I fucked it up." And he just walked off. That was it.
Yeah, I've done the walk off before. I'm like, oh nope, not right now. Gotta go. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just use your judgment. Is probably the best. Don't be an asshole. Shit. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Speaking of I got a couple questions for you, but speaking of like the label stuff, what would it take for you to sign a label or sign to a label?
It'll take a couple weeks of me looking at it and getting other people's opinions on all the fucking jargon in the contract first off. But me personally, with a label, I'm really in the position of like, I don't want a label.
Yeah.
Like there's enough ways. Like I think first off, me as an artist, the fact that I got like the sync placements and shit lets me know like, okay, there's ways to make money outside of putting your music up here and streaming. And that sync placement was the biggest fucking like marketing boost I ever got. And it was something that I didn't pay for or nobody pulled out of my pocket before I made any money.
So
like,
talk about that. What are sync placements? And what song? What are sync placements? What song are we talking about? Because I know what song you're talking about, but fuck it, let's push that again. And
yeah,
why is that so exciting for you?
Oh, the sync was Got It Booming, out everywhere, Spotify and all that. It was on Love, Death, and Robots season 2. It opened the season on Netflix. And first off, like I knew for maybe a few months before it aired that they were possibly going to pick it up, but the season wasn't supposed to drop until next year, right? So it was already out of my mind. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. And a few days before it dropped, they hit me up and was like, the season's about to drop and you're on episode 2, right? But then I hit play on the season and I'm number 1. Matter of fact, I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning and people were like, oh shit, Oren Major on Netflix. Yeah. And I didn't even tell anybody, right? Yep. So at first that was already exciting. Like, oh shit, I didn't have to tell anybody. Nobody's ever heard this song. I recorded the song the night before it came out. I re-recorded it so that I could get, better vocals. I had a better setup now. I know more now. Like, I put it out there the next day and like mind blowing just how big of a boost it gave like my music and how many people it put me in front of. And the fact that I did it without signing, bro. No, the song wasn't out. I put it out the the next day. I think it was on Apple Music the day that it dropped on Netflix, and it was on Spotify and everywhere else the next day.
Damn, you had to hustle to get that done.
Hell yeah. I had a good relationship with some people, and they were like, yo, I'm gonna hook you up and expedite the process. Like, we're good with the DSPs, and they shit. I was surprised it came out that quick, honestly.
Yeah, because they're like bare minimum 14 days, right? But then it's like 2 days later, it's like, your song is live on blah, blah, blah. You're like,
yeah. And it went crazy, yo. It got like 30,000 fucking Shazams out of nowhere. Like, hella views on YouTube. I got like 500, 600 subscribers from it.
Awesome.
Like, out of nowhere. And I guess what's cool is like my social media didn't go crazy with like new fans or anything, but that was cool for me because with me, I'm looking at it like I'm not a social media what is it called? I'm not a social media like influencer at heart anyway. Like, that's not my hustle. So to see that I was able to have that success with one, without a label, and two, without doing what everybody says I need to be doing on social media, was just like, oh shit, like I can make the fucking rules. I can just make good music like you said, but also it's like the intention behind it. Like, and if you're following that, your intentions of, I want to be a sync-placed artist, I want to be a successful artist, I want to do this and that, you're going to make the moves that you need to make to push you in that anyway. And I try not to make like a dollar amount or one action the end goal. You know what I mean? I try to make it how I'm gonna feel. Am I happy about this? Was it dope to me? Like, it was dope to me because I watched the show. And that was enough for me to be like, yeah. So back to your other question, like what it would take for me to sign to a label, it would take a bunch of shit that they're not willing to give somebody who's not already very successful without their ass. So it just don't make sense.
Well, and losing sync placement, like you signed to a label, you know, a publishing company or sync agency taps into the label and they're like, what do you got for us? They're not cutting down the little guy. They're not, you know, you just signed last week. They're not going to be like, oh, well, we got Oren Major. He's going to be like, they're keeping their big wheels rolling, which is normally how that goes, which is, you know, you're your own big wheel when you're the independent artist. But tracking down these things can be very hard and very difficult.
Yeah, that song, I recorded that song at least, I want to say 2 years, but at least a year ago. Like, over a year ago, I recorded it and never thought about it again.
Did you have that idea in mind? Like, was it a sync song, or did you just... Because you had it recorded.
I got my guy, the Grand Mess, he just be sending me beats. Sometimes people would send a brief, like they're looking for this and that, but a lot of times, like, we just get it in. Like, he makes dope beats. He kind of knows, like he's been in the sync market, so that's important too, because he kind of has the ear for what's going to pop mainstream and catch these people's attention. And then me, I just go in and try not to think about syncs while I'm making the music.
No, you can't. That's how you fuck it up.
Yeah, so I just do my thing, man. If it comes out dope, we send it off and let them shop it. And if I want to put it out, I can put it out. If I'm with a label or with anybody who has like exclusive, what's the word? It's fucking me up. Exclusive rights over your shit, then you can't even do that. You can't even make it and send it off for this and then put it out on your own. Like,
and how does so I dabbled in that world for a little bit, and I really wanted to get into it because I got that Grey's Anatomy sync, and I was like, yeah, I want more of this. I want to make money off of old music and have that pouring in. And so I started shopping around for publishing deals. I, coast to coast, went to New York, to LA, and, you know, did 2 days of meetings each day. And got an offer for about the biggest one I could get, and realized that this is not what I want to do, because they're like record deals where you sign away your publishing for 10 years on a song with no guarantee that will ever get placed.
Right.
So they could just seize the royalty money for all of these songs, all of the publishing money for these songs, and I'll just never get a dime if they never place it. And is the placement, they could place a one that's like for $150, they get a cut of that, and then they get 100% of my shit until
5 years from now.
Yeah, and they're giving me advances.
It ain't even hot no more.
And I'm just like, for me, it was so scary that I just kind of turned my back, and I was just like, look, I'll do a la carte shit. And I have a la carte publishing deal right now, but I haven't landed anything. You know, I haven't landed a goddamn thing in years.
We should talk more about that, like, together. Like, we can definitely collab on trying to get some of these with our different connections. But also, like, I just learned, not just learned, but one of the most recent things that I've been learning more about is the publishing side.
Yeah.
Because there's a million fucking different sides, and you never learn it all. Like, and new shit always coming. So the publishing was something I wasn't used to looking at, because I wasn't used to getting placements. So that's the only reason I know about this shit now.
Well, you'd also be surprised, like, publishing will represent a lot of minute existences of your music across the internet and just various different places. And, you know, we make money off of that stuff. And I'm not catching sinks, you know, like with that Grey's Anatomy was great. It was a very big paycheck, and we get a small amount of residuals like now, just like from Netflix, like royalty money on the publishing side, but it ain't shit. It's not keeping the lights on. But it does add up like a motherfucker. It adds up like crazy, and collecting your publishing is a huge thing. Like, I think artists, like, learning both sides, like collecting your writing and your publishing, so you're getting mechanicals and everything, is so important and so incredibly difficult to understand, because it's not like you just hit go on both sides and you're like, okay, I get all my money now. There's multiple agencies for both sides to collect from, and you have to sign up and monitor and collect from all these different sides. And you pile all the money, you know, at the end of the month into your bank account, and it's like, shit. It was like, was it even worth it? Like, back in the day, we used to get checks from Harry Fox, which are publishing checks, I believe, or they mechanical. Colin will let me know. But
I get the Harry Fox joints.
Man, I used to go to the bank with 15-cent checks and just like slide them across the counter and be like, what are you doing later? And
I'm so excited when I got a $200 check from Harry Fox. I'm like, oh shit, it's going down. Then I got another one, and I thought it was $200 again or more, and that shit was like 8 cents. I was like, oh.
I'm always assuming that the check, like, you know, the sound exchange and shit, I'm always assuming it's going to be like 10 cents. And then when it's definitely not, I'm like, yeah, but if I'm expecting it's going to be like, oh, this is going to be $500, and then it's 10 cents, I'm like, oh, God.
My first 3 placements were, damn, I ain't told nobody yet. I'm finna drop it on your show. Who's ever watching from my side, I ain't even posted this shit yet, but my first placement was like MTV First Responders or something.
And that was about, that
words.
show was about what? Premature ejaculation, right?
No, not that one. Not that one.
Okay.
No. It was like a COVID special about the first responders.
Oh yeah. Sorry. And, I get them mixed up.
I said like 2 words, like trap check, and I came up, got a rap check cut. That was it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm finna get a fucking rap check for real. I smoked that shit, and I looked at BMI, and yeah, same thing. It was like 12 cents or something. Then I got Love and Hip Hop. Then I got Black Ink Crew, and
I think everybody gets Black Ink Crew. I've been on Black Ink Crew. I had like half an episode of Black Ink Crew. They just like took like half my record and just like, here you go.
Bruh, they played my whole. You're right too, because everybody I know who's official got those same ones, right?
Yeah.
And they played my whole like song. Like they played 3 minutes of the fucking song at the beginning of the episode.
That costs more, MTV. you motherfuckers, that costs more.
Exactly, bro. And I got like virtually nothing for that shit. And that's what made me start looking that shit up. Like, how do they even fucking
because
determine?
they're giving you the age-old fucking music industry thing. We're paying you in exposure.
That's some bullshit.
We're gonna give you the as seen in this episode, Oren Major and Katie Lang or whoever the fuck is on there. But like they pay you by like putting your name on MTV. Like anybody gives a fuck. Like anybody's watching. Like people don't mute their TVs during the commercials, or is like, I don't know. Fans get excited when they hear you on shit, and it's validating for them because they're like, oh shit, O is on, but
yeah,
you're getting 8 cents.
I was gonna say that, yeah. For the most part, it is like your fans that are excited about the shit. And it's just validating for them, like you said.
But that's
unless
bullshit.
You get a huge one.
You should be getting paid. Like you should be getting checks for that. And I do think that we got I think they used several songs and we got under $2,000 for an episode. And
that's lit.
No.
What?
No.
Oh, that's pretty good. What is it supposed to be? School me right now.
Well, I don't want to put numbers out, but I got 15 times that for having 2 minutes on Grey's Anatomy. I got 20 times that being on Grey's Anatomy.
Fucking wild, man. The scope, the fucking, it's too big of a.
But that's the deal.
You can get paid this, and you can get paid fucking.
Well, yeah, and that's why you need somebody going to bat for you too, and that's probably why everybody's been on Black Ink Crew, because they're just like, well, we're not. Whoever's doing the music direction is probably just like, look, we'll give you like $500 and we'll put your song on, and then we'll put it on the little like recap thing where it's like, oh, like they have like a little like, these are the artists that played on the episode or whatever, like credits pretty much. But it's like its own music screen pretty much, or that's how it used to be. Like they had their own little screen that popped up like before it went to commercial, like who played.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like what music was playing, but nobody cares and nobody watches, and it translates to nothing. I got a few tweets that was like a few people impressed that I was white. I got some like, whoa, not what I expected.
They hit you with the Jack Harlow.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't think it translated into sales, and it was they picked like some pretty bizarre songs. One of the songs they picked was in a waltz. It was a 3/4 tempo, or time signature. So it was 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and I'm rapping over that, but I think they just took the beat from it. So, but people are like, oh, this shit is tight, and I was like, really? That's the one you guys show? Like, it's tight. I really like it. That's why I put it on the record. But like, damn, that's the one you guys are putting on TV. Like,
yeah,
cool. But yeah, it's such a weird. Like, I've also gotten a bunch of tweets back when I actually looked at Twitter, but like I got a bunch of tweets being like, oh shit, Greaves is on the episode of blah 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 tonight, and I was like, what? And then immediately being like, checking my bank account and being like, I don't think I was. And calling up management in the middle of the night and being like, oh, apparently I'm on blah blah blah. And like, the label had agreed to have me on something. Like, I didn't even get to make the decision for myself, and like had no idea. And I have one no, and I don't want my music on political shows, in either direction. Not because I am apolitical, but just because I don't want my music connected to what could be traumatizing material, because political shows like to highlight the worst of things. Whether there's something I agree with or disagree with, I still don't want people watching that material and associating that with my music.
Sure.
And if I don't have control over what you're putting it over, it could be like, oh, the guy that you voted for is president, we're doing a fucking piece on him and we want to play this music in the background. That's not what they say. They just go, will you put it on this show? And then it could be like, you know, here's just a fucking 30-second clip of like KKK members burning crosses. And I'm like, yo, why the fuck are you putting my music on? Like, I don't want it. And it could be like, bad, we don't like this, you know, but still, like, it's all people see is that with my music, and so it's a no.
You become the soundtrack to fucking
misery. And it's fucking no for me. Whether I agree or disagree with the politics of the situation, I can't control it, so therefore just no across the board. You know, like, just no political shit. That way I don't have to be like, look, I didn't know they were gonna put, like, I don't want to ever deal with the blowback of whatever that could be.
Damn.
So
damn, that's something to think about.
And it was a political show, and I was like, fuck, why are you doing this?
Damn, I never thought about that, yo, because I definitely thought about, like, getting placed on some political shit, right? I was like, damn, if you got placed on a rally, like, for whoever you're going for or whatever, that could be lit. But also, you don't know what the fuck they're gonna say. You don't know what they really, really represent. And you don't know how shit's gonna be like 5 years from now with your music on there.
Nope.
Damn.
Nope.
All right, that's a gem. I locked that.
It's a hard no. It's a hard fucking no from me. And if it's a documentary, you better let me know what the fuck that documentary is about. I better get to see the motherfucker before you put it on there. And even with movies, I'm like, yo, I don't know. Like, you could be like, it's a Pixar film. And you're like, yeah, put it anywhere. But then they're like, this is a movie about Bill Cosby. And you're like, okay, no. Like, do not.
You imagine you did the Bill Cosby movie, like, you know they're freeing him, right? You saw that shit?
He's out.
He's out?
He's out.
Damn. Yeah, I just saw that shit before you got on. I was like, what the fuck? Damn, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, can you imagine, like, getting a fucking placement on a Bill Cosby special a year before all the allegations and shit?
Get it out of there. Wipe the song.
Look, and then
wipe it.
Then he's getting out and they're playing your shit over the, like, video of him getting out.
Yo, yeah, dude. No. So, like, things that I don't have control over, I'm like a no-go for. I got offered a Lexus commercial a long time ago, and I got pitched a Lexus commercial, so I would have had to, like, compete for it, but the guy was like, but I'm gonna like scoot you ahead. I had met him when I was overseas, and he was talking up a big game, and I was like, okay, well, stop talking about it, be about it. I was like, you keep dropping names of people that I know, and you keep saying all this stuff, and that you're working with all the people that I work with, but I've never heard of your name, and you keep saying you're gonna do this shit for me, so fucking do it. And he did. He sent me an email, and I probably got a paragraph into the email, and I was like, hell no. And it was an incredibly racist, like, Lexus commercial. And they were pretty much being like, hey, we're gonna try to pitch Lexuses to, like, not white people this time around, and we're really gonna push it towards the hip hop demographic. They're using every word that they can use to just not say what they really mean.
Urban and shit.
And they're like, we're looking for something that's like Tribe Called Quest meets Wiz Khalifa at the time, you know? So it was like, they're just like the widest spectrum, and you're just like, what the fuck? And they're like, we pretty much just want the beat to just, like, really inspire the urban community to, like, buy Lexuses. And I was like, no way do I want no fucking way do I want to be a part of this. And, like, halfway into this email, do I, like, you guys should also pull this whole entire ad campaign, because this is not going to work out for you at all. And to be fair, I do think that they did. Not on my merit, but I do think someone was like, hey,
this ain't gonna work, bro.
No, don't do that.
A backlash. Oh my God, bro. That I was acting like in high school, basically. And after high school, I started getting into trying to get like stand-in roles on different shows and shit. And the last role that I got, I was like a stand-in as a prisoner on, I can't remember the show, some show with Kevin Bacon. I can't remember the fucking name of the show. But he was going to this prison to talk to somebody, and I was one of the prisoners, and I had like long ass locks at the time. And I'm excited about it, like, yeah, it's gonna be a long day. I love Kevin Bacon, blah, blah, blah. And the dude who was like doing my wardrobe, it just never sat right with me. I always remembered he was like, yeah, once we saw your face, we were like, he is the perfect prisoner.
Oh, God. Hey, fuck that guy.
I look around, bro. It's me, it's like 3 other black dudes and a Hispanic dude. And I was like, yeah, what do I say to this? The fucked up part is I got locked up right after that, right? But regardless, God I was like, yeah, man, you can't just be taking anything. Like,
no, you can't, because that's the other thing. Like, you never know what that associates you to in the future. And if you're just cutting songs to cut a check, then you have to be responsible for the outcome of those things. Or if you're just doing art to get a check, then you have to be responsible for people associating you with some pretty terrible shit. And for me, it's never been about being famous or being successful or getting a bunch of money. It is a focus for sure, because it is my job now. But the reason why I got into this is because I love physically creating music. I love the feeling that I get when I make it. I love it when, to me, it's problem solving. So when I sit down and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do today, and then I figure out what I want to do, and then I like do things that I feel are a bit out of my wheelhouse, then I feel like I'm growing as a human, and I'm like creating these different things, and I'm tapping into different parts of myself. And when I apply lyrics and emotion over that, then I'm like, damn, I'm accessing all parts of myself right now. And it's extremely fucking healthy and therapeutic and good for me to do so. So I will continue to do it when people stop giving a fuck. And I'm not naive enough to assume that people will always care. And I've had a really good run. And so if people do stop caring at some point, that's okay. But I still get to have all the shit. I get to come up to this room. I get to bang it out. I get to like feel how I feel. And that makes me a better person. And it will make me better at whatever I do after this. And the fact that I'm getting a check for that is a wonderful fucking benefit. You know, I'm lucky, I guess, because of it. But that doesn't mean that I have to fucking claw tooth and nail for a check, because I would rather just get something else going and maintain that feeling, opposed to just doing shit to cut a check.
See, I think one of the main like issues, and it wasn't really a fucking issue, like it didn't do anything wild to my life, but I didn't have a lot of people to communicate that same thing, like to share that feeling with. Like I spent a lot of time making music alone, and you know, pretty much, I mean, like now I'm with like Paris, my girl, a lot, and she's always there when we're making music. Like we both love the shit, and that's cool. But before, it was just me, and I think it was draining, like loving doing that shit and just getting lost in it. Like I had came to a point where I was like, yeah, I spent a lot of time with my head down, like making music and ignoring people and shit just because I love it. And I started feeling like selfish, I guess, and the fact that I was putting so much time into it. So when it came to that, I was like, am I even making enough money to be doing this shit for all the hours that I be doing it?
Yeah.
And that sent me down another path, because then it's like, now you're stressing about, I need to fucking get a check, or I can't do this. And that's not the case. It's not real. Like, do you really love it? And I had to come back around to that and like get healthy in my mind and in my body and all that shit.
Because this shit can be toxic.
That's exactly, it was a fucking toxic relationship, bro. That's exactly what it was. It was like, I love this shit, but I'm also like at the time, like I'm also broke, like, and people are looking at me like this way. Like you start thinking like nobody even has to put that in your head. It's just, I think it's natural for us to go through that unless you find like early success or whatever. But yeah, man, it came down to that for me too. Like I had to really tell myself that too, though. Like remember, like you actually like doing this shit, and it's not a problem to balance it. Like
and focusing on those things and highlighting those things in your artistry and your personality, I think are really important. I think it's really common in hip hop for people to not do that. Like for people to show that's like, this is just a thing that I do because I'm a great human being. And it's like, no, that's not really the fucking case. Like, oh, this rap shit is just on the side of me just being amazing. I think it's our ability to communicate how we feel. It's our ability to communicate with the world around us. It's the passion we put in is the passion we get back. And when we start seeing it as a business, it changes things a little bit because we start relying on it, which we do need to do, and it does put a little pressure on us, and it does start to pull a little bit away from that passion part, because you're like, oh man, I remember when I would just work fucking 10 hours a day and I would come home and the only thing I wanted to do was just make music, and I made the best music of my life. I made the best fucking music of my life when I was coming home tired and just being like, here's how I feel. And like I was a faucet. You could turn me on and off. Like I would go to work and then open that fucker up and just drain it all the way out, fill it up the next day, and the same thing. And now it's different, and I don't want to rap about rapping, and I don't want to rap about how hard it is to be a rapper, and I don't want to like make music that reflects my frustrations in, you know, you guys don't support me enough or some shit like that. Like I want to be able to communicate the way that I was when I was so without the pressure. So how do I do that? Like what is the way to do that? And I think the only way to do that is to allow yourself to enjoy making music and just be happy about it, and allow yourself to be like, if this doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Right.
That's the only way to tap in.
Like exploring different, like you explore different sounds and different methods and all that shit because you just want to be happy with what you're hearing.
Yeah.
And also like the energy you're getting from the world, like when it's new or when it's not pressure. It's like that song Continue I made is one of my fucking biggest songs. I said the other day I clocked in to work on some new shit. I stopped hanging around niggas that never do shit. I stopped complaining and started campaigning like who wanna help? Nobody answers. Since then I've been working 2 shifts. It's real. It's not anything you gotta think about. Like it's just like I was at work and I wrote that shit and I meant it.
Yeah.
And you feel me? When you're actually in that environment, I think the only way to keep doing that is to keep putting your environment.
And that's an inspiring, that's inspiring. So people hear that and they're like, fuck. Right. Okay. Yes. Like I can relate on some other shit, right? Like I'm not doing rap shit, but like I also have dreams and aspirations outside of like whatever I have to do to pay the bills, you know?
Yeah.
And we all do. Unless we're lucky enough to have that thing be our thing. But even then you struggle with what we're struggling with.
Now you got to struggle with where's the fucking energy for the song coming from.
Yeah.
Because it is annoying, like as somebody who's not rich, to hear people talk about being rich all the fucking time.
Yeah. I was like, oh, do I get to talk about being rich? Then when I'm rich, and then I can just like, that'd be so easy to just be like, if that's my subject matter for here on out, then I can be like, okay, there's a lot of different wordplay I could do around money. And exactly, if I run out of shit to say, I can just say, but I'm rich. So here it is. And I also, I can't, it's not the same when you're broke.
Right. I think with me, like, of course, I got songs about talking about fucking money and shit. But when it really started happening is when people were saying, like, or not people saying, but when I learned, like, just how much power you actually got with your words and with speaking things into existence. So for me, like I think about affirmations a lot when I'm making music. I'm like, I'll change a bar if it sounds like some shit I don't want to happen.
Yeah,
or if it sounds like some shit I don't want to be attached to anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I do it all the time. I scratch whole entire songs where I'm like, nah, that ain't it. I'm not trying to put
the energy you want to build. You don't want to be nodding to some shit like that.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'm just like, what the fuck am I even saying here? Like, I don't even, like, I make a lot of songs that'll just never see the light of day because sometimes it's just like, all right, I gotta vomit. Like, it's gotta get out. But I've definitely made songs where I was like, nah, this is not the vibe. This is not the direction. And this can't even be salvaged. I'm just pulling it. But that alone, I learned from that experience. And so the next song I write is like dialed the fuck in. So my losses are also wins. So I don't use that as discouraging moments because I don't think every song I make needs to be a song that y'all hear. Actually, I firmly believe that it isn't. You know, every shot I take on the court isn't going in the basket. It's just not probable. I have to be allowed. The only difference is I'm not playing any games, so I don't have to ever shoot in front of you. I'm just
to say a lot of times, like the best fucking players in the league or whatever, like the top scorers in the league also are pretty high on the list for the top fucking misses.
Yeah. Yeah, the more shots you take, right?
For real. Hey, what's your hardest like? What's your hardest bar that you didn't like? How do I ask this? You ever said some shit and somebody else said it and they thought you meant something totally different? They were like, "That shit was hard."
Oh,
and you just rolled with it.
I mean, yeah, So I'm pretty vague when I write. Like a lot of my songs, like I do dial in occasionally where it's like this is specific, but a lot of shit is vague. And because to me it like communicates the emotion without pinpointing exactly where it has to go or came from, so that it's open-ended to the listener, and it almost like it reinvents itself for me as the artist too, because I have to play this song every night for the rest of my life. So I've had people recite lines back to me where I'm like, that's me. I can't really remember, but it happens to me all the time. And I gotta be like, what song is that? And they're like, dude, it's this song. Like, and I'm like, that's pretty good. Like, damn, what the fuck? But I think off the top of my head, I have no fucking idea. But I think you might.
Nah, bro. I was thinking, because I know it's a couple, it's two, and I'm mad I can't think about them right now. But one in specific, it was like a whole word that sounds like another word. I really can't remember this shit. But it made so much sense how people were saying I said it.
Yeah.
And I just rolled with it like,
well, that's the beauty. Exactly I love music reinventing itself to me through the eyes of someone else. Like, that's why I love touring, because people run up on you and be like, dude, that song about this is crazy. And you're like, well, I haven't written a song about that. And they're like, yeah, this song. And you're like, that song's not about that, but whoa, like, holy shit. that is like, I see it now. Whoa, damn. Like, I love hearing different interpretations and reinventions of the music because it keeps it fresh and shows me that, like, I'm still kind of like on the track that I want it to be on. I love that. I think that's a sign of success, to be honest.
You think it's a sign of success?
Yeah, personally, right? Because success is a self-attributed thing, right? So I think, yes, 100%. When people are like, dude, just the way that you described it, I feel like should be applicable to you, because like you were like, it didn't make sense till you heard somebody else say it, and you're like, damn, like you just impressed yourself with something that you didn't necessarily intend to do that way, and then it got reinvented that way to you, and you're like, oh shit. I love that. I think that's success.
That's real.
A form of
it's like the Bible, right?
Yeah, it's open to interpretation.
We'll start saying that shit.
But yo,
that song about, well, it's not about that.
We've ran this motherfucker out for sure. I'd love to have you back on to talk. I still have a bunch of questions that I haven't got to ask you, but that just means we'll do another one.
Got to.
Colin, let's wrap up this headphone thing. Let's get these people. I got my fingers crossed for Queen Gampo. Who fucking knows? If she wins, people are gonna be like, this shit's rigged. Look, hands up. I got no control over this shit. Let's go ahead and end the raffle. And while we're doing that, most of y'all know we have a weekly playlist. We wipe it clean and update it every week, so it's not like a whole long list of songs. It's just, this is what we're bumping this week. And every week, I always have the guest pick a song, and you've picked a song for the playlist, which is the song you're pushing right now. So what song did you pick for the playlist?
Now I got it booming. There
you go.
Yeah.
And so you can check that out on Spotify. Colin will drop a link to that. Holy shit, Queen Gampo won.
Let's go.
That's amazing. See, it's affirmations. See, he was talking about them. You put it out there. It's coming back.
Yeah.
Colin doesn't have control over it either. This is an automated thing. That's amazing. Sick. I'm glad that happened. So Colin dropped the link.
Those you wearing?
Huh?
Those are the headphones you wearing?
Well, it's a pair. Well, not of these. These are the A40s. They're getting the A10s, so it's like a different version. But yeah, this stream is brought to you by Astro and Blue Mics. Thank you, Blue and Astro, for continuously supporting what we do here, and plugging in with the fans and making sure that they got dope shit. And make sure you guys check out Got It Boomin'. Not only should you check it out on whatever streaming service that you use, but you should also go check it out. It's what, Love and Robots?
Love, Death and Robots, Season 2, Episode 1. Just hit play. That shit gonna start playing.
You should run it up, because honestly, those numbers aren't gonna hurt him either, because if that keeps getting, and you should tweet about it, you should support the fact that he is on a show. If you like the show, you should be even more excited about it, so that way, Netflix goes, oh, this guy, or his sync person is like, oh, this guy. A little goes a long way in that direction, and just a little bit of vocal support goes even further. So thanks for everybody tuning in. Oren, thank you for joining us on Wired In Wednesday. I love having these conversations with people, and I actually would love to pick your brain about some things over text one of these days. But peace out, y'all. We'll catch you on Monday for happy hour. I haven't posted the recipe yet. I will. I'm gonna do that shit tomorrow. I'm gonna post that shit tomorrow. Of course, it's gonna be tiki because it's summertime, so get it popping. Peace out, y'all. Make sure you follow Oren on all his social sites, and hit him that follow on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever the fuck you listen to music, and run those numbers up. Peace, y'all.